Getting over an ex is much like grieving the loss of a loved one. Both your head and your heart need time to get used to the, often, upsetting absence of the person in your life. No two relationships are the same. Therefore, everyone's normal, and grieving may look different. It's not weird to feel angry for a while after breakup, even if the way anger manifests is uncomfortable. A person may hold more anger toward their ex depending on the length of the relationship, the circumstances of the breakup, and the toxicity that may have existed in the relationship. Low self-esteem and lack of support also factor into the process. Grieving is no different. People recover from grief at different paces. For one, you also might need more time to recover from certain relationships, particularly those that lasted longer or felt more meaningful to you. You may always carry some memory of your loss, but you will heal in time. Can we calculate it? Perhaps you've heard the theory, popularized by various media sources, that breakup recovery requires half the amount of time you spent in the relationship. Having a solid endpoint to look forward to might help you feel better, but recovery doesn't always follow a clear timeline. People sometimes find themselves still grappling with pain and grief more than a year after ending a relationship that was over within months. Others might heal and move on in weeks, even when the relationship lasted a year or longer. When looking at the timeline of breakups, many sites refer to a study that's actually a consumer poll a market research company conducted on behalf of Yelp. The poll's results suggest it takes an average of about 3.5 months to heal, while recovering after divorce might take closer to 1.5 years, if not longer. In a 2007 study, researchers surveyed college students who'd gone through a breakup within the past 6 months. On average, the breakups happened in the 11 weeks before the study. After the breakup, many participants reported increased positive emotions, including empowerment, confidence, and happiness. These findings seem to imply many people recover after about 11 weeks. This time frame only offers an average, though. What factors might determine your breakup recovery? If experts haven't landed on a clear timeline for breakup recovery, it's safe to assume there is no fixed time frame for healing. The truth is, breakup recovery varies so widely because so many different factors can affect the process. Your own experiences might even emphasize this. If you've gone through a few breakups, take a moment to look back on how your recovery from each played out. You probably didn't heal at the same pace each time. A few potential factors that might affect recovery include your commitment. Generally speaking, the greater the personal investment in a relationship, the more distress you'll likely experience when the relationship ends. At first, you miss seeing them and feel some loneliness and regret. But once a few weeks have passed, you're ready to get back out there. Say you thought you and your partner were completely in love. Perhaps you just moved in together or started talking about kids. Then suddenly, something happened to turn your relationship upside down. When a breakup comes as an unwelcome surprise, confusion and hurt can make it even tougher to overcome the rejection. When you live together, dividing your shared life into two separate lives can add even more pain, especially when you also have to cope with unwanted changes in finances, living arrangements, or shared friendships. Infidelity. When a relationship ends because of infidelity, recovery might follow a rockier path. Along with processing the breakup, you also have to come to terms with a breach of trust. The trauma of betrayal can have a lingering effect on your mental health and make it harder to move on and fully trust future partners. Relationship quality. Healthy relationships often have a positive effect on your well-being. Lower quality or unhealthy relationships, however, might not offer the same benefits. If you and your partner fought a lot, had communication problems, or always seemed on the verge of calling it quits, you might feel more relieved than upset when the relationship finally ends. Maybe you didn't fight, but there wasn't sufficient personal interest in each other. Sometimes you can feel comfortable and stay with a partner out of convenience rather than being alone. In either scenario, ending a less than satisfying relationship probably won't leave you upset for long. You might even find that the breakup makes you feel better. Who ends the relationship? Making a choice to end a relationship that no longer feels fulfilling will probably offer some measure of relief. It may seem like a given that the person who ends the relationship will feel less distressed. This is often, but not always, the case. Even when you realize the relationship isn't working out, you may not necessarily want to break up. Maybe you still love your partner and wish you could maintain the relationship. Recognizing that you made the right decision could help you bounce back more quickly, but you'll likely still grieve your loss. By contrast, rejection can sting. Your partner ending a relationship can affect your sense of self-worth and leave you feeling vulnerable long after. Examples of other people's experiences. It took me a year to 18 months to get over my first serious relationship, which was 11 months long. I think it honestly felt like an absence of pain, rather than a presence of any positive emotion. Talking about her and what happened between us didn't cause any sort of ache. I simply felt free from the pain that I was left with when things ended. It wasn't a dramatic shift, just change over time. Gray, 18. It took me years, not because I wasn't over him, but because the breakup damaged my self-esteem so much that I thought I was unlovable. It caused an anorexia relapse. We were together from when I was 17 to about 25, and he had an affair for 2 years. I think I was over him, in some ways, in a year. But in other ways, it hurt so much that it took me many years to get over what he did to me and how he treated me. Francesca, 34. I was with my ex for 11 years, and we were engaged. I ended things. It wasn't an overly healthy relationship and I was mentally out of it long before I was actually out of it. I in no way, shape, or form, want to be with him now, but I still think about him a lot. I also dream about him probably once every few weeks. It's annoying, but I'm working on it. Getting over him felt very freeing at first. Like for the first time in my 26 years of life, I was actually able to make my own choices. But then it got very scary and overwhelming because I never had that kind of freedom before. After a few months, maybe half a year, I leveled back out and was able to feel good about it and see the real positives in it. Lindsay, 30. I was with my ex for 3.5 years, and we broke up very amicably, so I felt like I got over it very quickly. It's been 3 years since we broke up, and yet he still occupies my mind, not from jealousy or missing him, but from anger at what he did to me, and that it took me so long to understand. Fast forward a few years, I'm in therapy and have a wonderful, different partner. I'm retroactively learning that so much was messed up in my prior relationship, that I'm only now processing the anger and breakup. Anya, 25. Why might it take some people longer to get over a breakup? It wasn't your idea. If it wasn't a mutual split, the dumper will obviously move on faster than the dumpy. Additionally, someone who had no idea a breakup was coming, no matter who initiated it, will likely take longer to get over it. You were really invested. If you really thought the relationship was going to be a long-term thing before it ended, it'll likely be harder for you to get over your feelings and attachment for that person. Your heart was already locked in. Cheating. If you've been cheated on, that betrayal can make healing feel all the more impossible. Not only are you getting over someone you love, but you're also having to simultaneously process the fact that someone you love consciously chose to hurt you. You don't actually want to get over the person. Some people don't. They create a mental and emotional altar of worship to their ex and go there in their heads regularly to worship. Often people who struggle to let go may feel that theirs was the perfect relationship, that there's no one out there that can compare, so they'd rather sustain the relationship in their heads than to confront the painful reality that it no longer exists. How to know you're over it? While there's no surefire way to determine when you've finally recovered from the breakup, you'll probably notice a few of the following signs. You can think back to the good times you had together without pain. You no longer avoid shared activities or favorite restaurants. You feel whole and complete as your own person. It doesn't hurt to think about them. You feel ready to try dating again and open up to someone new. Healing isn't linear, especially when it comes to getting over someone. If you find this is the case for you, it doesn't mean you're broken. It simply means you're a human being, grieving a chapter in your life that has closed. If nothing else, let the above stories remind you that grief has no timeline, and that being patient with yourself is the kindest thing you can do for your energy.